7 Action News investigators expose an assisted living nightmare. What state officials confirm were serious issues at an adult foster care facility in Livonia.
We started following this story after a complaint about poor conditions at a sister facility in Brighton. When 7 Action News investigator Scott Lewis started looking into the situation in Livonia, he uncovered something even the state didn't know about.
Chances are someone in your family or someone you know is living in an assisted living home because of memory problems. If so, you need to watch this story. In February of last year, Evelyn Longsworth made a difficult decision. Tom, her husband of 47 years, was suffering from Alzheimer's. It was no longer safe to keep him at home. She took him here to Ashley Court, an assisted living facility close to her home in Brighton that she thought was reputable.
And I made a very serious mistake.
Longsworth soon noticed issues and started to document them in a journal and with pictures. She says the place was dirty and understaffed.
I saw some people fall, I saw some people get hurt, and there was no staff around.
She says patient injuries were not being reported or investigated. One day she walked in to find her husband lying in the hallway with dirty bare feet. Another time she found the skin had been scraped off his toes during a fire drill.
Then one day I walked in and my husband had a horrific bruise on his buttocks.
Before Longsworth could find a new facility for her husband, he died in August. Still in grief, she pulled herself together and drafted 5 separate complaints, well documented with her notes and pictures, and sent a report off to the state.
He was a great man. And I know when my older son came home, he read it, and he said, "You know, Mom, this is all true." But he said, "It breaks my heart to read about it and go back to that, because these were Tom's last days on earth."
Longsworth was relieved when state investigators established violations on 4 of her complaints. They ordered owner Reuben Chandok to come up with a corrective action plan, which the state later accepted, and he is now implementing.
The individual who complained about us, we hold no ill will towards. We look at it as an opportunity to increase our level of care here.
What Evelyn Longsworth found and documented here in Brighton was bad, but when the 7 Action News investigators dug deeper, we found more. The owners of this facility also own another one in Livonia, and the track record there is worse, much worse. There are 4 buildings at Berkeley Court in Livonia, each with a separate license. Over the last several years, the state found numerous violations at all of them. Residents left unattended, their belongings disappearing, residents not getting medications, a staff member hitting a resident in the mouth, and several staff members badgering a resident for reporting incidents. And at building number 1, the most disturbing of all, the state confirmed that the home manager and a staff member were physically abusing all of the residents. The state investigator recommended revocation of their license, and the building was later closed voluntarily.
It is serious. I mean, and certainly we take it that way.
They're serious, but in the scheme of things, this is not the worst.
It's up there.
And the 7 Action News investigators discovered something even the state didn't know. After closing Building 1 over those serious violations, Berkeley Court changed the name on their sign to Ashley Court. If you look up Ashley Court on the state's website, you won't find any violations because they're not licensed under that name. Ackerley says that doesn't pass the smell test.
You don't get to do a name change like that to wipe away history. If you have a history, that history has to stick to you.
Evelyn Longsworth, who is paying $4,000 a month, says she believes the owners of these 2 homes are putting profits ahead of people.
And he may think these buildings are cash cows, but the bottom line is you're dealing with human beings.
While the properties jointly owned by Reuben Chandok and his father have put patients at risk, our investigation reveals they are living quite well. They live in this $1.6 million home in Ann Arbor, and between the 2 of them, records show they own more than $2 million worth of real estate in Naples, Florida.
We've been blessed by the good Lord with the kind of benefits that we've received, but it's not due to anything other than hard work.
Not from cutting corners.
No.
Chandok's attorney points out that the building that was closed for those serious violations was being leased to and operated by another company at the time, and they cut ties with the contractor. But because Chandok's hold the license, the state says the buck stops with them. Dave Ackerley says half of the state's 4,600 adult foster care homes have never had a complaint. Is the state doing enough to protect people in these homes?
Well, we think so. We think we're doing a good job here.
Still, he and Evelyn Longsworth agree on one thing. People who have loved ones with memory problems have to keep a close eye on the facilities that care for them.
The residents may not be able to speak for themselves on this in a way that would put the pieces together, but family members can do that.
Because many people are going to be where I am today, and it's a sad, long journey. Our role is to make it the best we can possibly do.
As for that name change in Livonia, the state will now make sure that if someone enters the new name in their database to check for violations, it will link to the old name to give a true picture of the facility's history. Ashley Court's attorney says there's really nothing wrong with a name change. He says a lot of companies have assumed names and people should check their license on the wall that has the name Berkeley Court. I'm Scott Lewis, 7 Action News.
All right, thanks a lot, Scott. 2 buildings at the newly named Ashley Court in Livonia are operating under provisional licenses because of serious violations. The state inspected just last week and found only minor violations. They are now planning to put the buildings on regular license status. But you have to be so careful and check your loved ones at all times of the day just to make sure they're
Yeah,
being
you're the
taken
ones
care of.
closest to them. You've got to make sure they're being watched after.
Absolutely.